I live on the streets. I think you all know that. I live on the streets. I live in a van. I don't believe I'm homeless, but the homeless consider me homeless. Everybody else does too, except for the van dwellers. But because I live on the streets, I see things you would never see. So I'm starting to stand up for the right things. I have never lived in fear of my life. I don't want to be imprisoned in my home or in my van and not go out because of fear of someone going to attack me or this or that. Let me explain my reasons why I try to confront things that are wrong. How do you like my view? Little change, huh? I'm in the park today in the shade. It's supposed to get 103, but we have a nice breeze. As long as we're in the shade, Marley and I stay pretty cool. And she has decided she has seen a squirrel. What are you doing? Did you see a squirrel? Marley, did you see a squirrel? Really? Did you? When I was 24 and my son was 6 weeks old, I was in the doctor's parking lot. I was getting my son out of his car seat, and a man walked up to my car, and I didn't see the screwdriver. He said, "Do you have any money?" And I said, "No." And immediately he said, "Let me see your purse." And I said, "No, I don't have any money." And I was so busy, I wasn't paying attention. I was so busy trying to get Jason out. He was very ill. He was crying. He had an ear infection. So my mind was not on this person. Marley's seeing something. Let me see what she's seeing. Oh, they're like a half a mile away. She'll start barking. She barks at an gnat. Anyway, he proceeds to pull out a screwdriver with about this long. This is not the handle. This is just a screwdriver. It was huge. And he puts it to my throat, and he opens up my back door. As he's doing that, and he slips in, and my son is in the back seat, in a car seat that I have been turned around trying to get him out of. And he proceeds to put that against my son's neck. And he wanted me to drive him away. I would not. And the reason was I wanted my son out of the car. I said, let me put him on the sidewalk. Let me put him in front of the office. Let me put him in the grass in the shade. So it took him about 10 or 15 minutes. Now, mind you, that gives me time to think. And he says, "Oh, we're going to drive. I want you to take me somewhere." So we're going to drive, and I'm telling this story for a reason. We're going to drive somewhere he wants to go. So he finally convinced me, he promised me, how stupid am I, he wouldn't hurt my child. I said, okay. I finally drive him. Now this man, after about an hour of driving around in circles and this and that, he found $5. In that time frame, he found $5 in my purse, okay? So you lied, blah, 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 whatever. He's threatening me or my son. This screwdriver is either against my neck or my son's neck, threatening me. Many other things, but I'm thinking this whole time, there are not many options. The only option I feel I had left was the option of choosing when and where I was to die so he could get caught. Those were my thoughts at 24. He took all my rights away, but I have one right left. One right. And that's to choose when and where I die. Because of that, I made a decision. We got to a 4-way stop going out of town. There were cars on all the stops. I grabbed my keys, shut the motor off, threw them out the window before he could do anything. I was really fast and said, either kill me or get out of the car. He got out of the car. I stood up for myself. The cops told me a bully, someone like this, never expects you to stand up for yourself, particularly a female. Older females are treated the same way. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen to men. I'm saying it happens to a lot of females. It was the right decision to fight back, but I fought back thinking about it. I was non-emotional during my thinking process. I would have lost it. If you go emotional on anybody, on anything, you've just lost the battle. And I've known that. Thank goodness for my military background. That was one scenario. I don't believe I could have walked away from that if I hadn't done what I did, which was make a decision and stick to my guns and stand up for myself. My second incident was on the streets when I first started in van life. I'm giving you this information so you understand my thought processes and why I stand up for myself. Bullies don't like to meet someone who stands up for themselves. The second one was, again, over money. People want money. The homeless want money. That was in 1971. I'm parked at Safeway. I had gone in shopping. I came out, and this guy accosted me and said, I need some money. Do you have any money? And you know, they're pretty aggressive. And I said, no, I'm sorry, I don't. And I got in my van and I drove away. He saw my van. And he had seen me around town. So a couple of days later, he had borrowed a friend's car. And he saw me again at Safeway. I was parked in the back, parked in like that. But behind me was Walmart and the back door. I mean, the wall, the whole wall of the building. He parks directly behind me and blocks me in. And I said, what are you doing? He goes, I'm blocking you in. I want money. You didn't give me any, so you're not leaving. And instantly I thought of Fried Green Tomatoes. You remember that? That was a funny movie. I love that movie. That's what I thought of, and I thought, I can ram him into that back. I started laughing. I said, you see how big this is? He goes, what? I go, you see what you're driving? I said, and I put it into reverse. I said, you got about 30 seconds before I hit the pedal, taking me backwards, and I'm going to ram you right into that wall, and I'm not worried about insurance. So get out of my way, or just go for the impact. Do you know he moved? Never bothered me again. What I'm trying to say is this woman, I am sure this is her mode of operation. She's a bully. I don't believe for 1 minute she's mentally ill. And the reason I say that is because once I confronted her, she shut up. She stopped. A mentally ill person will just keep carrying on because they don't know. She knew. She knew. She met someone who was determined to stand up for their rights, and I did it in a calm manner. And I did it in a way she knew that I was serious. She shut up. Did I do any good? I don't really care if I did any good for her. I'm not there to teach her a lesson. That's not my concern. My concern is standing up for my rights as a human being. First, we're human beings. And I was in line first. I know it sounds silly. I know it does. If you do not stand up for yourself, how do you know what they're going to do to you? They can do anything. We have a tendency to always assume they're mentally ill. We have conditioned ourselves to make excuses for everyone who's a bully, who's intimidating, who's rude. We make excuses for them. We've enabled them to continue acting the way they act. Are we right to do this? I'm saying I've had enough. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to walk around in fear. I'm going to do and live my life exactly the way I'm allowed to do it. I'm not going to assume they're mentally ill. And you know, if it's time for me to die, guys, what's the difference being in a store getting stabbed or being at home dying in my sleep? I'm sorry. I can't believe that I've allowed people to do this. I have no problem with someone behind me and I have a full basket. I always let them go. Hey, I always ask, do you need to go ahead? Some people ask me. I go, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. Mainly I ask. If she'd have been anywhere near halfway decent, her tone of voice, the way she threw it on the counter, she was rude. And I didn't like it. And I'm tired of just letting them do. Just walk away. Don't confront them. Walk away. No, I'm not walking away anymore unless I really, really believe there's danger. And even then, it's going to be hard. Always stay calm in any kind of scenario. You lose and you go in the emotional side, you will lose the battle. You could die by the end. And there's a video out about a 90-year-old woman that this man broke into her house with a gun and he tied her up to a chair. And she told him that she had a safe downstairs, so we went downstairs. While he was there, she scooted over. She had a gun in the drawer in the kitchen. She got the gun, and when he came up, they had a gunfight. He's dead. She's in the hospital, but she stood up for herself. He would have killed her. They found all kinds of torture items in his trunk. This is another scenario. If you don't learn to fight for yourself when it's really important, was this that important? Absolutely not. And there was no confrontation as far as I was concerned. It was not important. But if you don't learn how to stand up for yourself in a real scenario of danger, when will you? Will you walk away? And this is the thing I'm concerned with right now. I appreciate all the comments. Many said I just walk away. I get it. I do understand it. I've done it. And many times I do because it's not important. And they didn't really super go out of their way to be rude. This woman did. She went out of her way to prove a point. And she didn't prove it. I'm just saying, look at what we're doing. I live on the streets. I can't tell you how many times I have seen a homeless person, and I'm sitting there on the streets watching, get up out of that wheelchair at night, have a car pick them up. They pick up the wheelchair, put it in the trunk, walk around the other side of the car and get in. They didn't need that wheelchair. It's a scam. It's a ruse to get more money, to get sympathy from people. Whether or not that's what she was doing, it really ruins it for the truly disabled. And the truly disabled never do what she did. If you're truly disabled, you're not going to do that. I mean, you're just not. You're not. I have never seen. They need help. They need help. They need to be taken care of. Open doors, do things for them. But someone like this, I don't believe so. I'm not positive. I can't prove it. But I can tell you, I've seen a ton of this. When they're begging, they're in the wheelchair. And they keep the facade on all day until it's time to go to the camp. And then it's a whole nother ball game. They can walk perfectly fine. And then you have to, oh, well, is everybody in a wheelchair? No. Most people in a wheelchair are legitimate. The homeless, you have to question. And some may not. These homeless are not mentally ill guys. Some of them are just mean. Yes, many are on drugs. Yes, there are some who have a mental illness. But the reality is, they're spoiled. Like Americans. They're used to, and it is not easy to beg from people or sit out for hours. I respect them for that. They sit out for hours in the sun, not even sitting, just standing with signs. That takes a lot of work. So yeah, they are working for the money. To be honest, I consider they work for the money, the homeless do. It's a job. But they do use scams and they do use ruses, and you have to be aware of it, and I've seen it. It's just that simple. So I do stand up for myself. And I understand every comment and I appreciate the comments, but the reality is I will stand up for myself in certain situations. If it's important to me at that time, I will. But I don't go emotional on anybody. Many have imprisoned themselves in their homes. What kind of life is that? They're too afraid to go outside. I get it. It's really dangerous. Anymore, you can't walk down the street. People are, normally it's female or older men. They're hitting them in the face for no reason. None whatsoever. Because they pick on the weak. The people they think are weak. A lot of people look at me and go, oh, she's a sweet little old lady. No. I am to those who treat me with respect. I respect them back. But if you disrespect me, then you're going to see a side you don't want to see. And I think I'll always be this way. At 77, I'm still going to take chances. I'm still going to stand up for myself. It's not for everybody. I'm not going to say, oh, you shouldn't or you should. I'm saying this is who I am. This is what I do. And this is how I feel. And everybody has to live their life for themselves. I can't live it for you and you can't live mine. This is what I do as a person. And I'll probably always do it. I'll probably be a grouchy old lady. I might be. Who knows? I want to thank you for viewing, liking. Please hit the like button. It helps me so much. Please share. That also helps me. If you think this